Self-care is not everything. It's not. But it is the foundation of where we as autism moms bloom. The lack of self-care creates a lens on how we see the world as lack. But when we have proper and appropriate self-care built into our day, every day, then we can see the world as what it is, and the lens becomes beautiful, and we can enjoy our journey more. Hey there, mamas. Welcome to the Mom Care Coach podcast. And I am your host, Victoria Matea. I am a certified life and health coach, certified international counselor, and also a homeschooling autism mom and former Autism Clinic Director. I know that you are struggling with holding healthy boundaries around time management, constantly getting less than adequate sleep, and managing deep exhaustion and overwhelm. And you are praying to find a way to have more energy throughout your day. Well, friend, you have come to the right place. In this show, we will talk about how you can guide yourself through a process of self-care strategies that will lead you to the health solutions that you as an autism mom have been searching for, and how providing for your 4 intentional needs, sleep, movement, nutrition, and mindset, can help you avoid burnout. So grab this morning's leftover matcha or pour another cup of your homemade kombucha and pull up a chair, and let's have a chat on how these health solutions can change your life. One more thing, would you like to know more about the online coaching services and health bundles that I offer? If so, please do not hesitate to reach out. My email is mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. Again, mindfulwellnessforautismmoms@gmail.com. And of course, it's also listed in the show notes. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Now on with our show. Hello, everyone. It is Victoria Matea, and this is the Mom Care Coach podcast. I hope everyone is doing well today. We are on episode, I believe it is number 9. And today we are talking about me, my story. I want to share my story with you. Perhaps you can relate, and then also to help you to avoid a few pitfalls. So today I wanted to share a little bit about why self-care is so important. So I have our one big idea, which is self-care isn't everything, but it is the foundation for a successful autism mom journey. Okay, so again, self-care is not everything, but it is the foundation for a successful autism mom journey. So the lack of self-care can cause you to have a more difficult journey than may be necessary. Okay, and so I like to also answer a question, meaning like, is this focusing on a what, a how, a why? Well, today we're talking about why. And the why is my story, and why is self-care the foundation, okay? And we're going to focus on how to not make these top 3 mistakes that so many people make when they are on a self-care journey. So first of all, my story. And I think that my story, honestly, is not terribly unique. It is very common. But the difference is that I think that it's something that is so common when it comes to the autism mom journey that it's just not spoken about. And it's so interesting. So for me, my child was diagnosed at 6 years old, and we were on the waiting list for about a year. even though I was the director of an autism clinic. And this particular clinic was very unique in the fact that we had all the typical therapies like ABA, PT, OT, speech. We also had alternative therapies as well, like dance therapy. We had art therapy. We had um, and movement therapy as well. So we had a lot of additional therapies in addition to the typical ones that you see at an autism therapy clinic. And so I had a clue that perhaps my child may be on the spectrum, but I was not sure. There were certain things that I knew that were neurotypical. However, I wasn't sure if he was just delayed or if there was something else that I needed to look more into. And so, by some friends, they said, "Hey, why don't you just get him tested?" And that's what I did. And after he received the diagnosis, a lot of things I didn't realize was I didn't realize the fight. And I think for many parents, the story is yes, there are some challenges that our children have, but what takes the largest emotional toll is the fight to get your child what they need, to get them the therapies they need, to get them the the products or the just all the things that they need, and going to the different individuals or communities or resources or doctors or getting the referrals that you need. That fight can be really intense. Not only that, how people sometimes will look at you in the community, not the autism community, but just where you live, how people may look at you and make judgment calls about your parenting or judgment calls about what your child is capable of just because of how they act or interact. Perhaps an example would be like going to the grocery store and how that can affect you personally, just the looks that people will look at you and make these judgments about your child and parenting and all the different things that comes with that. I was not prepared for that. It was really, really hard. In addition to all of the struggles that he had, the health struggles, um, for him, he had a compromised immune system. We still work on that. All of the struggles when it comes to school and being successful there, and all of the struggles that of the interactions with the other adults that were in his life, the therapists, the IEP meetings, the psychologists, the counselors, all of that takes its toll on you personally. And for me, I have gone into burnout a couple times, and that has been so difficult. But getting back to our topic at hand, why is self-care the foundation? The reason why is because it is literally when people talk about putting the mask on yourself first, it is really doing that. The reason why is because over time, you will not be able to have the energy, the bandwidth, the understanding, um, everything that you need to continue the fight for your child. You just can't because you're a human being. And what can happen is your health can become compromised. Your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health can become compromised. You can start to second guess yourself, doubt yourself, and wonder, am I doing this right? How long is this going to take? Do I have what it takes to continue this fight? Will it always be this hard? You can start to ask yourself questions that you don't really have answers for. But you can then start to ask them just because the fight can get so intense if you do not have the proper steps in place. Now, what I mean is that, of course, the fight is the fight and it takes as long as it takes. But how are you able to show up as your best self if you have not put on your gear? It's kind of like if you went into a war, you would have to have your bulletproof suit on, your vest, your camo um, clothing, all of the things, your helmet, your combat boots. You would have to have certain kind of gear. I couldn't go in a war with jeans and t-shirt. And when we don't have self-care as the foundation, it is like you're going into a war with the jeans and t-shirt on. And so the importance is when we have self-care as our foundation, then we can build on a solid foundation. Okay. And so now I want to talk about the top three pitfalls that I see people make when they start to put in place self-care. So for myself, once I realized that I needed to put in self-care, it's hard to know where to start unless you know where to start. But I'm going to help you a little bit and tell you how to start. So, number one, choosing the wrong anchor to focus on. A lot of people, they will choose the wrong anchor to focus on, and they wonder why things are more difficult than necessary. And it makes it more difficult, and then it makes all the other pieces hard. So, step one, I'm going to tell you the first anchor you really need to focus on and put a lot of time and attention into is sleep. Okay, that needs to be your first anchor. And for me, that was not my first anchor that I chose. I chose nutrition. Why? Because I had been a vegan for over 30 years. And nutrition had already always worked for me. What I didn't take into account is that I had already had the anchor of sleep nailed in or dialed in before my children were born. After my children were born and we had a lot of difficulties around sleep, I didn't realize that that was the first thing that I needed to really focus on when having a hard time. And I will be honest and very transparent in telling you that I have been working on the anchor of sleep for many years now. I'd have to say it's the last probably 3 years that it's gotten really dialed in. However, this last year, I've shared before that we had some different challenges. We moved a couple times. Um, we moved to a different state. We didn't have the same resources and support where we're at now. We that we thought we did when we moved here, but now we realize that we did not. We actually had more support in the last state we were in. But because of that, my sleep really did take a back seat, and it has been some time trying to get that back nailed in. I'm still working on getting that back if I am speaking in full transparency. But I know for a lot of people that is something that is an issue. So if sleep is not an issue for you, then your second anchor that you would want to focus on is mindset. So, as I said before, for me, the first one I focused on was nutrition. And so I was trying to make all of these really great choices when it came to nutrition, but not having the sleep dialed in. And so, what that means is sleep is really important because in the REM sleep is when you're able to that's when your body is able to do a lot of cleansing your brain, cleansing your body, helping you to wake up refreshed and focused. And it's not able to do that if you're not getting enough sleep or if it is not long enough. And, or if you have any type of sleep abnormalities as well, it can cause issues. So for me, I'm mentioning that is because once my child got better. We had to do a lot of things to help him. Sleeping with an air purifier in the room. Of course, supplements and nutrition changes, prebiotics and probiotics and enzymes, just a lot of different things for him. But once he started to get better, um, then the thing is that my body was already used to not getting a lot of sleep. So I had to retrain my body to be set up for sleep. And of course, I do have episodes on sleep, but just to do a really quick recap, making sure the 2 hours before my children are trying to go to sleep, we want to limit or eliminate um, like the phone, television, screens. I know it's really, really hard. It's hard for me as well. Um, but the idea that I've put in place at least an hour before sleep. I'd like to do two, but at least an hour before sleep, it's really important. So that's one thing for me. An hour before sleep is more doable. And so that's one of the things that I do. Limiting that blue light is so important. Also, for me, also what we're doing is limiting mealtime. So I like to have my mealtime 3 hours before, like my dinner, 3 hours before I go to sleep. If I start to feel a little bit snackish, I think I did a reel the other day where I kind of talked about having tea, and you can make a really nice decadent tea, meaning like you can have a sleepy time tea, okay? Adding like a plant-based milk to it, a little bit of stevia. It makes it more of like this really lovely drink that can be really satisfying when you're trying not to have another meal or snack or whatever to help your body. So that's another option that can be really helpful as you're trying to work on sleep. So number one, a lot of people may struggle with not knowing which anchor. So I think sleep is number one. And then number two, the second one would be mindset. The reason why is because, like, if you remember back in the episode where we spoke about the ABCs of being an autism mom and the importance of those things, we have to be able to have the right mindset in order to thrive and to know how to be successful in those things. Because if we don't, what can happen is that we're not able to achieve success in the way that we want to have it and in the way that we want to do it. So let me be specific here. I'm just going to go over the ABCs again. So A is for affirm what you want, affirm that in your heart space, meaning like this is something that can really happen. If I work on this, I can really achieve whatever that is. B, build a bridge to its resources. Remember, your spouse is your ally. If you don't have a supportive relationship, you can create resources in a community that's going to help you. And then also connect to that mindset that you need to have in order to create a plan and to keep it. And remember, whether you believe it or not, if you believe it's real for you, but if you don't believe it, then it's not real for you. So we want to create the mindset to achieve what we want. And in this way, it is being successful in self-care when it comes to our self-care journey as autism moms. Now, number two is not being consistent. So let's say we are working on the sleep anchor, and then most days we're still only getting 5 or 6 hours a night, but we really want to get like 8 or 9. Well, then we have to make sure we're getting that 8 and 9 consistently. Otherwise, we won't be able to reap the benefits of that particular anchor. And then number three, we want to protect the time that it takes to work on it, protect all of the things. So I'll give you an example. If we are choosing the anchor of sleep, and we're being consistent, but then what if a friend comes up and say, hey, there is this party that I'm going to this evening, meaning like someone's having a birthday party, or let's go grab a cup of coffee, and it's at night past whatever bedtime you put for yourself, then we have to say, no, that's not going to work for us. So we have to protect it. It can't just be an idea. It can't just be something that will be really good. It has to be protected. Now, I know that I've spoken a lot in this particular episode, but I do want to bring it back around to make sure everything is making sense and tying itself together in a big, beautiful bow. So, the one big idea is self-care isn't everything, but it is a foundation for a successful autism mom journey. Because the thing is, it's going to get hard sometimes. We are going to have the different meetings, we are going to have the different therapies if we choose that they have in home or outside of the home. There's probably going to be doctors involved, counselors involved, a psychiatrist, neurologist, all the things. And there may be some supplements if you go that route, or maybe you go a different route. But the thing is that there's going to be some hard moments, but we are better suited for the task at hand if we have what we need. So, if you recall, we have aligned living as the umbrella, okay? And then we have our anchors, sleep, mindset, movement, and nutrition under there. And so, it's important to have an understanding that you choose one anchor at a time and really focus on that. What can happen for a lot of people is if you choose too many things at one time, our brain, the amygdala and the back of our brain will say, hey, this is too much, too hard. We're not going to do this. And then we won't put the focus in, and we won't reap the benefits of having self-care as a constant in our life. The autism mom journey is unique. It's unique because there is a spectrum. There isn't a typical trajectory, because it's a spectrum. So we don't have certain ages and time frames where our children will reach different mindsets, or different milestones, rather. It's the same with us. We need to focus on one anchor at a time, and we don't need to put ourselves by saying we must have this figured out at this time or this done at this time. We want to allow the time that it takes, and we want to be kind to ourselves. I always say it's important to anchor yourself to God. I call him the Most High, because that anchor is a part of aligned living, and he is the one who gave us our children. And our children are beautiful, wonderful little beings that are perfect as they are. And our job as parents is to help guide them and lead them and show them things and be patient with them. And as we are doing that, we are growing ourselves. And it can be a beautiful journey. Yes, it is hard, but it can be a beautiful journey if we allow it to be. But we need to show up as a person that is able to give. And we can only be that way if we have replenished ourselves and connected to ourselves and have our supports in place so that we can show up for the task at hand and be really successful at it. So, why is self-care the foundation? It's because that's where everything blooms. That's where everything starts. And that's what makes it beautiful. So we want to choose the right anchor, and we want to choose the right anchor. So that is starting with sleep, then going to mindset, then going to nutrition, then going to movement. That's how we want to get started. Then we need to be consistent in whichever anchor we are on. And we need to protect it. We need to protect the time. We need to protect the space. We want to be able to honor our yeses and honor our no's and know when to say no. to create boundaries around our time and space so that we can show up as our best selves as autism moms. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that you were able to take some notes and really have an understanding and be able to apply these principles into your lives. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for listening in. If you have learned something new today or have been blessed by this show in any way, please share it with a friend. And don't forget to head over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. And feel free to take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram, and I will tag you back. Thank you and be well.